Hello, good evening, everyone. Are you hearing me? Yes, I want to thank you, Miss Bent, for having me, and thank you all for being here. And I am, as Mr. Blake mentioned, a writer among other things. And this is the book that I will be reading from today that is entitled The Word of My Testimony. Simple yet miraculous accounts of God's workings in the life of Sean C. Harrison. So these are mostly unrelated, a series of mostly unrelated accounts of how God has worked in my life, used me to help and to bless others, as well as used others to bless me. And this reading will be speaking about a factual happening where I was used of God to, help someone who was in need. And it came out wonderfully. So this excerpt is titled Healing the Physician. A doctor is usually looked up to for the answers to healing when we sometimes have none. And often we never hear his or her cries for help and healing in turn. Many of them are elevated to the status of demigods, and we sometimes think they are impervious to pain. This is a true testimony of how a physician I knew found healing from her inner pain as I ministered to her. Working at the health department, the St. Thomas Health Department, sees one frequently crossing paths with physicians, both on a professional and personal basis. And this was the case with a doctor I had been acquainted with since high school. She was much farther advanced in her grade in school than I was, being of course older. For many years, I never knew where she had gone to, and that she had even studied medicine, of all things. When we crossed paths again at the Princess Margaret Hospital, where she became employed, she would have shortly after arriving there experienced deep tragedy. Her spouse had died, leaving her with a small child to care for on her own. If I remember correctly, she had stated during that time that someone might have mentioned me to her, or perhaps she had come to be reacquainted with me working in the same health center on the same compound, where at times during the lunch period we would sit under a large mango tree conversing. Whatever was the case, I would not have known till years later that her testimony was in the making. Having always freely shared my written material with others, it was like second nature to have automatically chosen some of my pieces for her to have and read, because I also do poetry. There were times during that dark period of loss and prior to that when we spoke deeply, and I would have given what encouragement I could have, even inside of my own struggle with mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia, that we also conversed about at times. So even before her spouse's death, we would have struck up a healthy camaraderie within which she expressed disillusionment with her medical practice. She had become very cynical and would have expressed doubt at her effectiveness in providing health care, also based on the socioeconomic situations of many patients. This response truly took me by surprise, that a physician would have lost the high sense of purpose characterizing that noble profession. Nonetheless, we had cemented a very good interaction. But finally, one day, she would have exited that place of work, and I would not have seen her till years later, when in my very own dark period of the years 2013 to 2018, I met up with her both at the hospital and at a friend's home where I was invited for dinner. And very surprisingly, at one of these meetings, she stated something in her own casual way of speaking that was totally unknown to me in all the time we interacted up to that very first moment, years later, that I didn't even register the magnitude of in the immediacy of the exchange. And this is the crux of the testimony I give here today. She thanked me for speaking with her and for sharing my works, as unknown to me, she was contemplating suicide. Yes, suicide all the time, and said in no uncertain terms that I'm ministering to her had saved her from the very act. She changed her mind about her intention because of the connection that we had and how we interacted. Isn't that great, friends? To say, that someone who himself or herself was broken would have also been able to bring someone else who was broken to a place of healing. She was pulled from the brink of self-harm. She relayed to me, and as I think about it all, I am humbled that the great physician could have used little old me, a mental patient who too contemplated this act many times and made one unsuccessful attempt years away from our interaction. Yes, I attempted suicide, but thank God I am here still today. Yes. And so, friends, we don't often know. Yes, thank you. We don't often know the way the seeds we plant grow. We cannot see many times down the road how a word of cheer makes a world of change to a despairing soul. I would have thought on the surface that she was much stronger, but it just goes to show that even the best and brightest among us are subject to the very same rigors that the most ordinary of us face. Thank God that I could have blessed her inside of my own brokenness and also gained validation for my written material. Now I believe she has studied a branch of medicine that deals with broken souls and matters of the mind. I thank God that I was used to His glory in such a critical time of her life. May we all be our brothers and sisters keepers, knowing the thin line between hope and despair, life and death, sickness and wholeness, so the lives which would have otherwise been destroyed would have come to a place of restoration. You all too can encourage someone along the way. You too can take the time to listen, to unburden a heart. Reach out and touch somebody's hand today. You could be saving a life. God be with you all. Thank you.